She was more dangerous than Escobar, more ruthless than any man in the cartel, more feared than any criminal alive. And you have never heard her name. She ordered over 200 murders. She built a cocaine empire worth billions of dollars. She invented methods of killing that are still used today. And she did it all as a woman in a world run by men. Pablo Escobar called her the Godmother, and he was afraid of her. Let that sink in. The most powerful drug lord in human history was afraid of this woman. This is the story of Griselda Blanco, and I promise you, you have never heard anything like this before. Griselda Blanco was born on February 15, 1943, in Cartagena, Colombia. But this is not a story that starts gently. This is a story that starts in darkness and never really leaves it. She was born into the kind of poverty that destroys people. No food, no safety, no future. Her mother was violent and abusive, drunk every night, screaming every day, hitting her daughter like she was nothing, like she was less than nothing. Most children in that situation break. They give up. They disappear. They become victims. Griselda became something else entirely. By the age of 11, she was already on the streets of Medellin, alone, hungry, invisible, surviving in ways no child should ever have to survive. She stole food to eat. She fought grown men who tried to take advantage of her, and she won. Every single time she won, because even at 11 years old, Griselda Blanco had something that most people never develop: a complete absence of fear. She watched the powerful men in her neighborhood, the criminals, the gangsters, the drug dealers. They had everything: money, respect, power. Nobody told them what to do. Nobody touched them. Nobody dared. And Griselda made herself a promise. One day, that would be her. Not one day, soon. By her teenage years, she was already running with the most dangerous people in Medellin: pickpockets, thieves, killers. She learned to read people instantly. Their weaknesses, their fears, their secrets. She learned how to manipulate anyone into doing anything, and she was terrifyingly good at it. At 16, she married her first husband, Carlos Trujillo, a small-time criminal and drug dealer. But Griselda was not interested in small time. She used him like a textbook. She studied every detail of his operation: how drugs moved, who the suppliers were, how the money flowed. She absorbed everything. And when she had learned everything he had to teach her, Carlos Trujillo disappeared. Nobody was charged. Nobody investigated. Nobody even asked questions. Because in Medellin, in the 1960s, nobody asked questions about men who crossed Griselda Blanco. Then came Alberto Bravo, a much more serious player in the Colombian drug world. Together, they built something real, a genuine cocaine operation moving serious weight across borders. For the first time in her life, Griselda had real money, real power. But Alberto got greedy. He thought he could steal from her. He thought because she was a woman, she would not notice. He thought because she was a woman, she would not act. He was wrong on every level. In 1975, they met face to face to settle the dispute. Alberto pulled out a gun. He thought that would end the conversation. Griselda pulled out her gun faster. She shot Alberto Bravo dead before he could pull the trigger. Then she turned to his 6 bodyguards and shot every single one of them. 7 men dead in seconds. 7 armed men. And Griselda walked away without a single scratch. That was the day the criminal world of Colombia understood something important. This woman was not playing games. This woman was not someone you underestimate. This woman was someone you fear. In the early 1970s, Griselda Blanco set her sights on America. She moved to New York City with cocaine hidden in ways nobody had ever seen before. And this is where her genius truly showed itself. Every other smuggler at the time was using men. Big, obvious men carrying obvious things. The DEA knew exactly what to look for. Griselda changed everything. She used women as mules. Ordinary-looking women. Mothers. Grandmothers. She designed special underwear and clothing with hidden compartments sewn inside. Compartments that held kilos of pure Colombian cocaine. The DEA had absolutely no idea. They were looking for men, and Griselda was walking right past them. She was hiding in plain sight and laughing while she did it. Her operation exploded. Within just a few years, she was moving millions of dollars worth of cocaine every single month. Every single month. And anyone who got in her way disappeared. Competitors, suppliers who cheated her own people who made mistakes. It did not matter who you were. Griselda Blanco had one rule and one rule only: loyalty or death. No exceptions, no second chances, no mercy. Then, in the late 1970s, she made a decision that would change American history forever. She moved her entire operation to Miami, Florida. And what happened next was unlike anything America had ever seen. Miami in the late 1970s was paradise on the surface. Beautiful beaches, luxury hotels, perfect weather. But underneath that paradise, Griselda Blanco was building a war zone. She flooded the city with cocaine like nobody had ever done before. The money came in so fast, they literally did not have enough time to count it. She bought mansions with cash. She bought fleets of cars with cash. She threw parties that lasted for days. The finest food, the most expensive champagne, the most dangerous guests. She wore jewelry worth millions. She dressed like royalty, because in Miami, in the late 1970s, Griselda Blanco was royalty. But with the money came something else. Something that turned Miami into a nightmare that Americans still talk about today. Violence. Unimaginable. Unstoppable. Everywhere, violence. Bodies appeared every morning. Drive-by shootings in broad daylight. Assassinations in hotel lobbies. Murders in restaurants while people were eating dinner. But nothing prepared Miami for what happened at Dadeland Mall in July 1979. Two of Griselda's hitmen walked into a liquor store in the middle of a busy shopping day. Families everywhere, children everywhere, normal people living normal lives. The hitmen pulled out machine guns and opened fire. Two men were killed instantly. Then the shooters walked outside and kept shooting. Across the parking lot, at cars, at buildings, at anything that moved. People ran screaming in every direction. Parents grabbed their children and ran. It looked like a war. Because it was a war. Miami's war. Griselda's war. The newspapers called it the Cocaine Cowboys era. Police were overwhelmed. The FBI was overwhelmed. The morgue ran out of space. In just a few years, over 200 murders were directly connected to Griselda Blanco's operation. 200 people. Gone. Because the Godmother said so. And at the center of all of it, calm, controlled, untouchable, was Griselda Blanco. At the absolute peak of her power, she was making $80 million every single month. 80 million. Every month. That is almost $1 billion a year. She had police officers on her payroll, judges on her payroll, politicians on her payroll. She was buying the entire system, and it was working. But here is the part of this story that truly separates Griselda Blanco from every other criminal in history. Pablo Escobar, the most powerful drug lord who ever lived, worked with Griselda Blanco, respected Griselda Blanco, and was nervous around Griselda Blanco. Let me say that again. Pablo Escobar, the man who declared war on the Colombian government, the man who had presidential candidates assassinated, the man who blew up a commercial airliner, was nervous around this woman. He called her the Godmother, not as an insult, as a title of genuine respect and genuine fear. In a world where women were not supposed to have power, Griselda Blanco had more power than almost any human being alive. She even invented her own assassination method. Motorcycle hitmen. One driver, one shooter on the back. Fast, efficient, almost impossible to catch. She called her favorite hitman El Loco, the crazy one, and she used him like a weapon. Her personal life was just as dark as her professional one. She was married 4 times. 3 of her husbands died violently. She had 4 sons. She raised all of them in the world she had created, and the world she created consumed them. 3 of her 4 sons were eventually murdered. 3 of her own children, dead because of the empire she built. Even the Godmother could not protect her own blood. But power always ends. Always. In 1985, after years of surveillance, after dozens of undercover operations, after countless failed attempts, the DEA finally caught Griselda Blanco, arrested in California. And what happened next shocked even the prosecutors. Witnesses refused to testify. Key witnesses were murdered before they could reach the courtroom. Even from her jail cell, Griselda was running her operation, ordering hits, moving money, controlling everything from behind bars, like it was nothing. The prison walls meant nothing to the Godmother. She was eventually convicted, and she served nearly 20 years. 20 years during which her empire slowly crumbled without her at the center. In 2004, she was deported back to Colombia. She was 61 years old. She tried to be invisible. A small clothing business in Medellin. A quiet life. As if a woman like Griselda Blanco could ever truly disappear. As if the past ever really lets anyone go. On September 3, 2012, Griselda Blanco walked out of a butcher shop in Medellin. A motorcycle pulled up beside her. 1 shot. To the head. The Godmother of cocaine was dead. 69 years old, killed by a motorcycle assassin. The exact method she had invented herself decades earlier in Miami. She created the weapon that killed her.
Think about that.
She came from absolute nothing. Poverty, abuse, abandonment, streets, and she built an empire that shook the entire world. Governments feared her. Police feared her. Pablo Escobar feared her. Was she a monster? Without question. Was she one of the most extraordinary and terrifying human beings who ever lived? Absolutely. The world tells us that power belongs to men. Griselda Blanco spent her entire life proving that wrong. With bullets, with blood, with billions of dollars. Love her or hate her. Fear her or admire her. You cannot ignore her. The Godmother of cocaine, Griselda Blanco. If you made it this far, you already know this channel is different. We don't sugarcoat history. We don't sanitize the truth. We tell you exactly what happened, no matter how dark it gets. Subscribe to DarkVault. New stories every week. And remember, The most dangerous person in the room is never who you expect.